Okay, guys, but thank you both for taking time out. I'm guessing, this is the week of Fright Fest, so, prep time, is very, is very much needed, I'm imagining. Uh, but congratulations on getting the film into Fright Fest. How are you both feeling about the selection and the forthcoming screening? Because it's opening night, right?
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank you.
we're very excited. Thanks for having us, and we feel absolutely blessed, excited. Yeah, opening night was a surprise for us. That it's wild, and we're super stoked about that. We're closing that opening night, and hopefully we do that in a fun way.
Yeah, it's an absolute honor. I mean, to be part of Fright Fest in general, and then yeah, to get an opening night slot and closing it out. Got a sort of the midnight slasher sort of fun spot, and it's good, man. I think I really hope the audience enjoys it, and it's a fun movie, and yeah, we're incredibly excited. The whole team is It and I, everybody. We've got a few people going out to London as well. They're part of the team, and yeah, everyone's heading out this weekend. It's coming up really soon.
Yes, horribly soon. And the story, you see, it's a fun film, but the story is very timely, particularly with within America, with whole pharmaceutical companies and everything. How did the idea for the film come together?
Um, well, I guess essentially we're trying to look at a way to explore sort of what justice looks like and injustice looks like when the system fails people. And we wanted to take a premise and take a look at the breaking point and see how far ordinary people get pushed to a place and then see what happens and when it goes there. So that's sort of what Kit and I started exploring when we were discussing this. And yeah, it does seem to be pretty timely. And all of the events, I think, in general are horrific. I think that in an ideal world, we could all be a lot nicer to each other, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be the place. So this is sort of like a morality tale and a
Yeah,
play and
yeah.
what happens about.
We live in a world where corporate greed is just running rampant, and we thought, well, this is a perfect premise to tell a horror film. So we thought it was relevant. We thought it was something that we should tap into and talk about because sadly, it is so relevant. We certainly didn't mean to do anything that was prophetic in any way, that's for sure. And it's sad that that's the case. Maybe it's not shocking, but it's really sad. And, again, it was, when we were thinking of it sort of intentionally, we thought, okay, well, this is something that we think has value, and we thought this is where we should do the premise of a horror film.
I said there's two sides in the story. There is the pharmaceutical company, and then there is the people who were involved in a lawsuit with them that unfortunately kind of lost the case. And then in the middle of that you have this office worker Elliot, and he's kind of one of the few people that can see both sides of this argument. Why was
Yeah.
he an important character to kind of tell the story through, rather than kind of, I guess, rather than picking a side, having that guy that can see shades of grey for everybody.
The reason we did that was because we wanted to create a moral center to the film and a moral center to the argument, and Elliot essentially grounds us in that morality. And frankly, I think the themes of what that taps into when we're talking about corporate greed and when we're talking about the treatment of people is always rooted in morality. So we felt like it was important to have a character that had that perspective.
Yeah, Elliot is definitely sort of the moral compass throughout it. Everyone else in the film, on either side at one point or another, sort of like is drawn to this dark side. They have that moment where they're open to it, where they're thinking about doing this other side of what they're naturally disposed towards. And Elliot's sort of the only character who actually is that sort of moral center and that compass throughout it. And I think it's an important character to sort of show everyone where we are and choices that can be made, hard or not, but he's important to this, sort of as a mirror to show us, this is one side, this is the light, and this is the dark.
Mm. And there are several sequences within the film where there's kind of almost no dialogue, it's characters, sneaking and stalking around one another. How were these scenes to shoot, and how did you go about kind of ensuring that the tension was there throughout? Because there are some funnier moments to this film, but in these particular sequences, you kind of want that tension.
Yeah, definitely. We actually had an incredible space. The building we shot in was the National Newark building. And I think we had, kid, what do we have, like 27 out of the 43 floors there or something. So we just had free range and we were able to go around and find the most perfect areas sort of to sort of ramp up and build that tension. And then when we did a walkthrough, he and I were sort of like, in the rest of the camera team and everyone, we were just kind of imagining sort of like what it would feel like in this moment, in this place. And so the building, I think, is a character itself in the film, and it really gave us a lot of opportunity to build up those moments of tension. Like you're saying, there's a lot of quiet spaces, dead spaces, also terrifying times in the middle of the night during the night shoot when I had to go back onto like an empty floor to find something or close something off. So it worked in real life. I was scared running around sometimes by myself. But yeah, I think that definitely helped. And yeah, I think it's important to have those sort of moments where it was quiet, where people are just trying to figure out how to survive, through this next few hours of their lives potentially.
And of course, with such a big space, lighting is very helpful with that. So being able to kind of take down the lighting in a way that created the darkness, I think was helpful even from a performance standpoint because it's so dark and we can't see what's around the next corner. That helps give a sense of dread, at least in the performance.
Yeah, and that really helps out with sound as well at that moment. And the characters, all the actors were fantastic, and there are little moments where you can hear a little thing off in the corner in their reactions. And I think it really helps the audience sort of feel in the moment, in the place with them as well. So they did a great job.
And Ilya did a great job at kind of describing the scenes and what we were supposed to be feeling or experiencing with the action, particularly because sometimes it's hard to follow that stuff. And we had a fun cast that was kind of always there, and he would be really eloquent at describing, okay, well, move here because there's a killer around the corner there that's about to come at you guys, and you want to sneak around this corner, look this way, look that way, and we're going to shoot, we're going to see their feet. Do you see that do you see this? Yes. Okay, well, that's where they're going to be walking. So when we're covering you here, we're also going to be seeing them walking this way, and it was helpful to kind of get that direction from him.
The story kind of gets almost right into this kind of siege, which means that you don't really have much time to set up those characters. But I think for anybody in a corporate career, I think anybody that has spent any time in an office immediately recognizes, these characters. Was there any kind of like digging into people's own pasts to kind of get some catharsis and get some of those, maybe old work colleagues, out there in some way?
Oh, that's a good question. Ilya, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, it was. I think that all the actors were able to bring something unique to it, which was really special. And I think everyone brought this life to the characters that, we had something on the page, but everyone really opened it up even more. And some of them, as you know, with actors, a lot of them have to work many different jobs over the course of their careers to sort of fill in. And yeah, everyone sort of, I think a few people had actually worked in an office, and we tried to sort of really nail that sort of that scene. You've got obviously we exaggerate a bit, and there's some characters that are a little larger than life, but it sort of was all rooted in something that someone had experienced before or had done themselves, and not quite going as far as caricature, but really leaning into that sort of absurdity because the office world, don't do well in it. I've never done it, and I hopefully never will have to. But it's got its own dichotomy. It's kind of like high school almost, with the different personalities and the type of people and how they react. So we kind of we had a little hodgepodge of different people, and it was really interesting when we got them all together. When the core group splits off after the party as the hunt begins.
And to make a long story short, the short version is yes, particularly especially in Blake's character. I mean, he is.
Yeah.
We've all had that boss. We've all had that. Whether he's a VP or some kind of boss who is just completely full of himself and doesn't care about anybody but himself, and
Yeah.
it is absolutely somebody that we all know.
And similarly, with the, we spoke earlier about the tension being built. There's these tonal shifts between the horror and the humor. How in the edit did you kind of go about, making sure there was that balance so that it wasn't veering too far into one direction? Because I guess there's a version of this film where it's horribly intense all the way through, and then there's a version of this film that's slapstick all the way through. How did you kind of center it in the edit to make it, more, more of a, walking the tightrope?
It was interesting. It was, I wouldn't say tough, but we had a lot of great material and a lot of dailies that were coming in as we were looking at them would be hilarious. And then we'd also do other scenes. We do other alternate takes that were a little more serious. And I think we found in the edit that we just were able to find this really lovely balance between the two. We love horror. I love thriller. We love that tension and that builds like when you're just on the edge of your seat, but I think what's really important for that as well is to have those moments of levity, in between to sort of break that tension up. And I think our editor is fantastic, Sam Gonzalez Jr. And Chris here was running post out in California and then sending things back to me in New York. And sort of between the three of us, I think we just naturally found this really lovely balance between them all. And I think it works. It's a hard thing to try to hit that without, again, going too comical, going too far into caricature, but it's such serious subject matter that we again wanted to bring the essence of levity to it. To have a laugh in between all of this horrific stuff that's going on, because I think that's important.
Yeah, they say there's the movie you write, the movie you shoot, and the movie you edit. And the movie
Yep.
movie we initially wrote was a lot more serious. And then when we got to the point of the movie you shoot, we realized that we needed to balance that seriousness with the humor. We thought that that would create a better balance. And then when we put it together in the edit, we realized that that was such a key component to make this work. And it was like Ilya said, it was really tough to do, but we realized then it was so important.
Yep.
And the film opens, with this sort of like infomercial for, this new wonder drug, which is obviously the thing that is involved with the lawsuit. It's kind of very RoboCop, Starship Troopers. That must have been
Yes.
a lot of fun to do that. Can you talk me through the creation of that?
Yeah, while we were shooting, we actually initially hadn't planned on shooting the sort of like infomercial commercial type thing. And while we were shooting, it sort of like dawned on us. I think we were talking with the camera team and everyone, we were kind of joking around and we thought like, oh man, like 'cause in America we've got these infomercials just 24/7 on the television screens, just like every drug you can imagine for every possible thing. And it's always hilarious when they list that like the side effects at the end, and there's like 73 of them. And some of them are way worse than the actual affliction is from the start. So we kind of wanted to embody that and I love that you said the Starship Troopers thing. That was one of our touchstones and models for this, where it was just like kind of that satire. Satire, I think, is the only weapon against the insanity that's going on in the world now and then throughout all of history. And so, yeah, we really wanted to open it with something like that would just sort of showcase the absurdity of it all and really nail I don't know, okay, what else? Like just the absurdity is the only word I can find to explain all of this.
We thought it was important as well because we refer to it so much that we thought it would be a lot of fun to actually show the commercial in a fun way.
Yeah.
It definitely gets the film off to a bang. And I guess sort of my final question for you both, what do you hope that the audience take from this film? Obviously, we want them to have a good time, but what do you hope that they kind of take away with them at the end of this screening?
I think with art and stuff in general is the idea of like discussion. We're not making a decision. I believe that like killing one person specifically or 500 people indiscriminately is equally wrong. It's a horrible thing, and we want to have a discussion and have people think about this and maybe comment and discuss and try to find ways that we can live not like this. as human beings going forward. Find that balance between commerce and human beings, because I think they both can exist. And I think there are examples of that that's happened. And I think we need to do better to work towards that. But yeah, I think we want people to have a good time and enjoy it. Again, that's why the satire and the comedy, I think, is very important. Sort of lighten the mood so that you can kind of have a laugh and then actually go, wait a minute, there's actually something there that's the problem that we need to discuss. So hopefully it opens a little bit of discussion.
Yeah. I think I agree totally with Ilya on that. I hope people take away an experience that has them have a really good time, but then also gives them something to think about. And if we can do that, I think that we did our job.
Well, thank you both so much for your time and best of luck with the screening.
Thank you
Appreciate
so much.
it so much.